We're here at Stocktoberfest with another executive interview. I'm sitting down with Sudhin Shahani, co-founder of Surf Air Mobility. Sudhin, welcome to the show. It's great to talk to you again.
Thank you, Katie. It's great to be here.
How has your trip been so far to Coronado and beautiful San Diego?
My trip's been fascinating, actually. I've really been enjoying it here at Stocktoberfest.
Great. Well, we've met you a couple times, but for people who maybe haven't heard from you yet, tell us a little bit about Surf Air, the services you offer, and what the company that you co-founded is all about.
Yeah, so Surf Air Mobility, it's a regional air mobility platform. We do a couple of different things within aviation. We operate one of the largest commuter airlines in the country. We have an on-demand business, which is kind of a digital brokerage type business working with other people's aircraft to provide charter services. And we have a technology group where we're developing both electrification products and software products in partnership with Palantir.
Interesting. So a lot to unpack there. The hardware and software angle I remember talking to you about before. Tell me a little bit about how that works. Why are both of those components core to the business? And are your customers buying both of them all the time, or do some customers buy the software and some are more on the hardware side?
Well, so I'll take a step back and unpack. There's we're at a point in the industry, particularly what's called the Part 135 of the charter aviation industry, small planes versus big. And all the innovation in aviation is really happening across small aircraft. Mm-hmm. So as we look at our different businesses, we have, as I mentioned, we're one of the largest operators of small aircraft. And as all the new hardware is coming online from various OEMs, we have a project in electrification to electrify the Cessna Caravan. That's more long range, and it's we don't have electric aircraft in market yet today. But what we also realized along the way is how the industry as a whole needs much better software across all constituents, be that the operator, the broker, the owner of the aircraft that's often a participant in kind of making a flight happen. And we built a lot of this technology for ourselves. As I mentioned, we partnered with Palantir for their data kind of infrastructure backend for the charter and operator space. And we're now in the process of starting to commercialize that outside of our own company to the rest of the industry. So we use our software today. We've seen significant improvements in our own operation, and we're now in a position over the next year where we're going to start selling the software to other people in the space.
So the Palantir piece is super fascinating. I think a lot of retail investors are familiar with the company. They might associate them with the defense applications, but actually their software could be used for large data sets, making sense of logistics. So with you all, why Palantir as the partner there? How did that come about? Any insight into sort of what that relationship looks like?
Yeah, so I would say one of the challenges, or one of the core challenges faced in our industry, and in sort of early days of deploying technology that is industry-wide, is the fact that there's a lot of very fragmented data. There's a lot of very fragmented layers in the space. In order to make a charter flight go, there's a bunch of constituents in the mix. There's the broker that sells the flight, the operator that operates it, the owner that owns it, the customer that chartered it, and everyone has to be aligned. And then there's the OEMs that provide support and maintenance and so on to all these different to the groups. What Palantir's platform, Foundry and IP, is really good at is taking disparate sets of data and normalizing it into a back-end sort of set of data that we can then build applications on top of, and we can kind of create insights for all constituents for. Mm-hmm. So they have a platform that is ideally, as a perfect use case for this on the data back-end side. And I think people have seen with them, as they've moved from kind of just government applications to commercial applications, there's a number of examples where they enter into partnerships with kind of leading players in an industry to go in and sort of take that technology across that industry.
Yeah, and when we talk about Surf Air, it seems like a lot of what I'm reading is the focus on commuter. Is there any application now or in the future for deliveries, business to business sort of applications, or is it really just someone needing to get from point A to point B themselves versus physical goods?
Well, I think from the software perspective, certainly we're providing software and technology for operators across the board. So it doesn't have to be a passenger operator; it could certainly be a cargo operator. Within our on-demand business, we do have B2B applications because of corporate customers and so on as well. But we specifically focus on really what we call the charter or the Part 135 space, as in smaller aircraft rather than larger.
Okay. And so you all went public in 2023, correct? So
right.
relatively, although that was a couple of years ago now, coming up on 3 years. When you look forward to 2026, sort of what's the main area of focus, the theme of the company? Where is everyone sort of focusing their efforts in terms of priorities, either from a product standpoint, a business standpoint? What's sort of the theme that you would come to mind for 2026?
So it's a good question. We last year laid out, and this was kind of an important part of our general strategy and how we communicate with our investors, as well as how we manage our business. We laid out a pretty focused and we thought simple to understand what we call our transformation plan, where we laid out the balance of sort of the things we're doing across our core businesses, improving profitability, strengthening the balance sheet. We put in some great new hires, and that serves as the foundation of kind of what we do. And also within that, we talk about where we're allocating capital to be efficient around innovation and balancing kind of our core business and the improvements that capital will make to our core business, as well as the opportunity it opens up to sell technology to the rest of the industry.
All right. And so my final question for you is, a lot of the conversations we've been having here at Stocktoberfest are around sort of the empowered retail investor. For someone who's interested in kind of what you're saying, they want to look up SRFM, learn some more. I think one question that comes to mind a lot with retail investors is which metrics matter for which company. And so for you all, when you're communicating sort of the progress of the business, what are some of the metrics that retail investors can look at in your financial statements or otherwise to help guide them and understand, your progress toward those goals?
Again, I think what we've put out in the form of the transformation plan, where we talk about sort of critical core metrics, improving profitability, revenue growth, improving profitability, milestones around technology development, milestones around commercialization. We try to communicate very simply to all investors. I think that there's a view, where in IR, where people will talk about retail investors as being sort of a whole different class of investor, like they don't think the same way. And I think what we've really understood is that, we've been very fortunate to have significant increase in our base of retail investors. We understand that retail investors come with various investing strategies. They can't be bucketed into one group. Like there's some retail investors that think like long-only investors. Some retail investors, they may think more like hedge funds. There's different, and we try to have a very consistent and transparent message and over-communicate what we're doing along the way.
Great insights. Sudhin Shahani, co-founder of Surf Air Mobility. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you enjoy the rest of your time at Stocktoberfest.
Thank you.